Welcome back to Astrology by Ari Astro Babes. And of course, as you know, as has been advertised on my Instagram, I'm going to be doing the Caribbean Icon series where we look into wealth, power, and fame in the natal chart. And of course, I'm going to be going through the various Caribbean islands, identifying some of the icons, and showing you how you can achieve wealth, fame, and power, or how you can track those things in a person's natal chart. Of course, you're watching this video because you're also interested if you have wealth, fame, and power indicators. And so definitely listen very keenly. So when I get to the section where I'm going to be breaking down the individual planets and also some of the aspects that are in the charts. Of course, all of the things that you're hearing here today are not going to be a one-size-fits-all. And so just because you may have a similar placement in your chart, that does not exactly mean that things are going to turn out exactly the same for you. You always need to go and get a consultation or a reading with an astrologer to tell you about how your chart is going to pan out, even though you're going to be able to get tips from this and the other videos that I will be doing in this series. So before I begin, I just want to give a brief bio of Sir Vivian Richards from Antigua and Barbuda, who is the first person in the Caribbean Icon series. And of course, he has to be the first because I am from Antigua and Barbuda, and so is he. And so, you know, in Antigua, we say, pass on Chris and he picked me first. And so that is exactly what I'm going to be doing today. So Sir Vivian Richards was born on March 7, 1952. That makes him currently 68 years old. He will be 69 this year. In St. John's, Antigua, as Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards, KNH OBE, that is his full title. And he is an Antiguan retired cricketer who represented the West Indies at Test and international levels. He is regarded as one of the greatest batsmen of all time and is also referred to as the man they called the king. Okay, so jumping straight into his natal aspects, we see that he has Sun in 17 degrees, Pisces in the 10th house. Now, as an astrologer or persons who are interested in astrology, you would know that the 10th house is the house that represents the pinnacle of the natal chart. It is the highest point in the natal chart and therefore the most visible. So any planets that are in the 10th house are things that are going to be very difficult to hide from the public, and thereby you are able to gain more public recognition for the things, the planets, the asteroids that are in your 10th house. And so having Sun, which is a bright light, being in your 10th house, it's even drawing even more positive energy into that 10th house arena, where we're seeing the personality of Sir Viv, and we're seeing, you know, his persona, his ego in his 10th house very well highlighted. And then again, he has Sun in the 17th degree. Now, the 17th degree in astrology is the second exaltation of Leo. And of course, we know that the Sun is actually domiciled in Leo. So Sun with a Leo flavor in the 10th house. This is all something that is very, very, very well and benefic for Sir Viv with this placement. Now we're moving on. His moon in his second house in 2 degrees Leo. Now we know that the moon has to do with our emotions, our ability to connect with others, but also our most comfortable state, who we are as individuals when we are at our most vulnerable and comfortable. And so having a moon in Leo means this is somebody who is comfortable being in the spotlight. They're comfortable being the center of attention. They're comfortable being a leader. They're comfortable with public attention. And of course, when you are comfortable with those situations, you are likely to attract those circumstances even more. So 2 degrees Leo is also known as one of the most powerful degrees. It is known as the degree of supreme power. So having supreme power in people being comfortable with giving you praise, with being in the spotlight, that is also a very good position for public recognition. Moving on, we have Mercury in 0 degrees Aries in the 10th house. So then again, we're having another planet in the 10th house. And of course, this is going to be something that's very visible. Mercury, of course, has to do with communication. And so the things that the native says, the things that Surviv says, and the way how he vocalizes and expresses himself, of course, Mercury also rules the extremities that are the hands. So his hands are things that are going to be important, as well as his ability to communicate. These are two things among many that are going to be very prominent for Surviv. 19 degrees Aquarius in the 8th house. Now, of course, we know that Venus has to do with the way how we manifest love and how we receive love, the way how we try to attract a partner, as well as the way that we feel the most romance. Venus is actually money and earnings and the management of money and, the management of love, self-worth, and things of that nature. So Venus in the 19th degree of Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is actually a very interesting placement to have Venus in at that degree. The 19th degree is a second exaltation of Libra. And so we know that there is a difference. Aquarius rules shock, it rules change, it rules eccentricity, a little bit of an unusual flavor. And so this is saying Venus in Aquarius, this is saying that there might be something that is very unusual or very eccentric or very unique about the partners that he chooses to be with, about his romantic relationships, about the way how he chooses to earn an income. And his Venus is in the 8th house. Venus in the 8th house, of course, we know is a very prominent and a very powerful position, because the 8th house has to do with other people's money. And so Venus in the 8th house could really translate to, gaining money from other people in very eccentric ways, or using beauty to gain money. This is somebody who could perhaps be a model in some way, or could be a banker or a financier who could earn money, who has a gift for earning money from other people, and could do that through the way how they look. So for instance, this could be in terms of sponsorships, or there's a specific term that they use for sponsorships that they give to athletes, but the word is not coming to my mind right now. If you do remember it, put it in the comment box below. But I'm going to move on to Mars in Scorpio. He has Mars in Scorpio at 16 degrees in his 5th house. Now, again, the 5th house has to do with Leo. And so we see a lot of Leo energy really coming out in the chart. And Mars in Scorpio, Mars is domiciled in Scorpio. 16 degrees is the second elevation of Cancer, and which would mean that Mars in Cancer, this is somebody who may actually be, and in the 5th house, this is somebody who is very committed to their home, somebody who has a very deep and passionate grounding in their home, and who can actually be very well known at the level of their home. Mars in Scorpio also gives an effect to the type of energy that an individual might have, because if you have Mars in Scorpio, this is somebody who is very passionate, and their passion is able to allow them to gain fame. People are aware of their passion, and of course Mars is not only passion and drive, but it's also anger. And so this is somebody who may actually have a lot of and of course, because Scorpio is a water sign, it has to do with emotions. So it's the use of passionate emotions and expression of those things, which can lead to fame or just being well known for the manifestation of passion and drive and these aspects of the personality. Then we move on to Jupiter in 17 degrees Aries, again in the 10th house. And so Jupiter in the 10th house, Jupiter is one of the benefic planets. So we already have Venus in the 8th house. That is a very great placement for earning income. So Venus is already a benefic planet, and then Venus placed in the 8th house is, as I said, a benefic for earning money from other people. So that's a very well-placed planet. And then having Jupiter in the 10th house, Jupiter is a planet that has to do with not only excessiveness, but luck. And of course, it is the planet attached to abundance. And so in the 10th house, when we think about your career, your public image, this expands upon all of the other wonderful placements that you would have had. And Jupiter, due to its nature of being very lucky, it brings additional opportunities to the chart holder. And so having Jupiter in Aries at that 17th degree, which we already spoke about, which we know is the second exaltation of Leo, we know that means that there is an abundance of opportunity to gain fame, and that there is also a need internally, active drive, because Aries has to do with action, to gain such fame in the public sphere. So this is definitely something that would have been a desire of Sir Viv in and of himself. And also Jupiter in Aries is also, because Aries is ruled by Mars, this is also amplifying the energy that Sir Viv may have, but it also could lead to an expression of somebody who might have anger issues, because of course Aries is ruled by Mars, Jupiter, an expansion of energy that is very driven and can be very, when we think about Aries, we think about a warrior. And so technically warriors tend to be a little bit more aggressive. And so this could be an expansion on very aggressive energy. And we already have Mercury in Aries. And so we can see that coming out in the speech as well. This could be somebody who could be very aggressive verbally. Or as I mentioned before, it could be an expression of aggression, or because we have the Mars, which is the emotional drive, and we can see that the manifestation of these emotional things could come out either by aggression in terms of words, but it could be in terms of aggressive action. And then next we're moving on to Saturn and Libra. Now Saturn and Libra is a benefic placement. Saturn loves Venus and Saturn is exalted in Libra. So having Saturn in Libra is also a wonderful benefic placement to have. And as I'm going along, I hope that you're realizing that in this chart, and we haven't gotten to the aspects, we're just looking at the natal placements, that there are already so many benefic planets placed very correctly in houses, that they are also at benefic degrees, and that these things tend to, in the case of persons who are very wealthy, very iconic, very famous, they tend to have multiple placements. So if you tend to have only one or two placements, and depending on the degrees, certain things may not last as long, or you may not see the manifestation in your own life. But everybody has a different purpose on this planet, in this life cycle. And so don't be dissuaded by that, but to be very aware and to be on a very realistic plane. Okay, so we're going to jump from Saturn and we're going to go straight to Pluto in the interest of time. And here's Pluto in the 19th degree of Leo. So Pluto in Leo, power, fame. Leo has to do with fame, as we're talking about public recognition. And Pluto has to do with power. And of course, we have it in the 19th degree, which is the second exaltation of Libra. And so we also notice not only a theme of fame, but a theme of attractiveness. His physicality or his attractiveness is something that was used to market him, or maybe used to market him as an athlete. And then the last thing that we're going to look at is his North Node is in Pisces at the 0 degree in the 9th house. Now, this is one of the most important placements that I think that Sir Viv has in his chart that makes him this standout star. Of course, all of the combinations matter, but having your North Node in 0 degrees Pisces. Now, 0 degrees Pisces is conjunct Fomalhaut, which is, I might be saying that wrong, it might be Fomalhaut, which is a benefic star at 3 degrees Pisces. And this benefic star is also in opposition to Regulus. 0 degrees Pisces is opposite, because Regulus is now at 0 degrees Virgo, but in the past it was at 29 degrees Leo. and 0 degrees Pisces is exactly opposite that. So having this specific placement, if you have a placement in your chart that is anywhere around, I would say maybe, even if we're working with a big orb, let's say 5 degrees, let's say 28 degrees Aquarius or Leo, up to 6 degrees Virgo or Pisces, outstanding placement, because you have the combination of two benefic stars working in your favor. Of course, Regulus is a standout star for public recognition and fame. High highs, sometimes very low lows, but Regulus will take you to the top for sure. Whether or not you remain there, whether or not you become somebody who is embroiled in scandal, that has to do with all of the other placements and the aspects to it. But Regulus is definitely going to take you there, and having the additional blessing of former home. And then in addition to that, we see that the North Node in Pisces is in the 9th house, which has to do with foreign travel, philosophy. It has to do with overseas, right? So it's a planet that has to do with the movement and not necessarily staying at home. And then when we look at the North Node in Pisces, we know that the South Node is in Virgo, which means that in the past he would have been working very hard to achieve many things. And now with North Node being in Pisces, this is a time where we would see towards the end of his life he would be starting to relax a lot more. So it's really earning. This is a really great placement for persons who are thinking about having passive income. So if you have North Node in Pisces, this life cycle, it's not all about you working so hard. Maybe the first half of your life is going to be featuring that, but it's your time to relax and to gain from the universe to reap basically what you have sown in the past. Thank you guys so much for listening to the wealth, power, and fame aspects in the natal chart of Sir Vivian Richards. Unfortunately, I have to cut the video a little short because the aspect segment takes up a very large portion of the video, and so I've decided to make it into a part 2. If that is something that you guys would be interested in, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you are interested, I will post the part 2. Of course, let me know if you have any similar aspects in common with Sir Viv, and what are some of the other icons from around the region that you're looking forward to. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn your post notifications on if you want to hear about the other Caribbean icons that I'm going to be speaking about and the aspects of wealth, power, and faith.